I was born in Abbott, Texas, a little small town in central Texas, and I was raised by my grandparents. And my parents divorced when I was 6 months old, and my grandparents raised me, and my granddad was a blacksmith, and so I spent a lot of time in the blacksmith shop growing up there. And both my grandmother and my granddad were music teachers and singers, and they sang the old-fashioned shape notes, you know, and we'd sing in church, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And I had a lot of fun, learned a lot, and I feel like that the education that I received in Abbott, Texas was as good and as general as one that I could have found anywhere in the world. Everything that I found in the rest of the world, I found in small amounts in Abbott, Texas, so it was really a good training ground.
You were born what year?
1933.
What's your birthday?
April 29.
April 29th, 1933.
1933.
I wanted to ask about the time in Texas, and obviously Texas has always had a large Mexican population and influence, and Tex-Mex music developed in the southern parts of the state. And most people are not aware that there's been quite a bit of intermingling or ties between Tex-Mex and country in general. Any influence at all during your youth?
Yeah, oh, a lot. In fact, I grew up across the street from, you know, the Villarias, which was a great Mexican family there. In fact, there was 3 houses right across the street from me, so day and night I listened to Mexican music, and I'm sure, you know, my guitar playing, singing, writing, whatever, has a lot of Mexican flavor there, but it comes natural.
Can you talk about the whole subgenre outlaw country? What does that mean? How'd you get into it?
Well, Waylon, I think it was had a lot to do with that, the outlaw title, and maybe me too, but we were sort of unconventional, I guess, when we went to Nashville, and we had our own ideas of what we wanted to do and the way we wanted our music to sound. And I mean, Waylon and I didn't even know each other at the time, but we both had the same rebellious ideas, that we were stubborn and wanted to play our music the way we wrote it and the way we feel it. And there was elements in Nashville, and not only Nashville, around the world, where whoever put up the money said, this is the kind of music we want. So there's always that problem, there still is. But Waylon and I managed to get it done our own way, and, you know, they put the label Outlaw on us for doing it. And I wear it as a badge. I kind of enjoy it.
Johnny Cash, talk about your relationship with Johnny, you know, his influence and what he meant to you and what he means to music.
Well, of course, John was one of the original instigators, one of the original outlaws, and he had always done it his way, and he'd always gone against the grain, uphill, whatever. And so eventually it was inevitable that we had to get together. And so,
where'd you meet?
I met him. Well, he and Waylon lived together in Nashville for a while, and Chris was in town, and I was there. So
this is Waylon Jennings, and
Chris Christopherson, and Johnny Cash, and eventually we did the Highwaymen recordings and tours, which was a traveling circus. There was 278 pieces of luggage because all our families and kids and everybody traveled with us around the world, and we did 2 world tours that way, and really had a lot of fun.
Can you talk about the music industry and talk about the kind of music that you know, corporate publishing allows, and how you have led your life?
Well, there's always the music industry. There's always the business part of it. And I've always tried to dodge that part of it because I didn't really want to go along with all those things where it has to be done this way. A song has to be 2 minutes long, or has to have this and that in it. So the music industry, or the music business, and I never did really gel that well. So.
You were with RCA Victor Records?
I was with RCA. Before that, I was with Monument Records, and before that, I was with an independent label. And So through the years, I've been with a few labels, but yeah, I was with RCA when Chet Atkins was running RCA, the Nashville division.
Well, we often on the show try to deal with what's happening to the media companies around the world, especially in the United States, and we've done a lot of emphasis on a Clear Channel and the impact of Clear Channel on the ownership of radio station, on the kind of music that they play. From your perspective as a musician, what's been the impact of all this consolidation of ownership of all these radio stations?
When I was a young guy growing up and playing around and playing in Dallas, Fort Worth, Waco, whatever, and taking my band, one of the good things back in those days was that I could call a disc jockey there in Fort Worth and say, hey, I got a new record. I want to bring it over and play it for me because I'm playing Panther Hall this next week and I need their promotion. And you could do that. Or else I could write a song today and record it tonight, and within 2 weeks I could have it out on the market because it was set up that way. Now that's almost impossible. You write a song today, you record it next year, and then 2 years later it comes out. And we've lost really control over our music because of the fact that so much of it is done now. It's programmed in another state somewhere else. And so when I was a disc jockey, I used to go in and grab a handful of records and go in there and sit down and play for 2 or 3 hours.
Where were you a disc jockey?
I started out in Texas at KHBR in Hillsboro, then KOBPOP in Pleasanton, and KCNC in Fort Worth, and then I went around to went up to Vancouver, Washington, KVAN up there. So all over the country I was a disc jockey, and it sort of fit in with what I was playing music in the clubs at night, so I could enhance my income a little bit by disc jockeying.
Can you play a song from your Highwaymen days with Chris and Waylon, Johnny Cash?
Well, let me see what we could do. Well, we did Mama Don't Let You Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. We did that. I could do a verse of that for you. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Don't let them pick guitars and drive them old trucks. Let them be doctors and lawyers and such. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. They'll never stay home and they're always alone, even with someone they love. Cowboys ain't easy to love and they're harder to hold. They'd rather give you a song than diamonds and gold. Lone Star belt buckles and old faded Levi's, and each night begins a new day. And if you don't understand him and he don't die young, he'll probably just ride away.
For the people you sing for, which is people in this country and all over the world, you're one of the most famous musicians in the world today. Your sense of their feeling about our country, about your country, about the United States of America?
Well, I traveled around, and over the years, over the last several years, I've traveled around a lot and got a lot of different feedback from people around. And we're not as loved as we think we are around the world. That's for sure. I think most people realize that our problems are our government, not me and you individually, except that we must have some sort of responsibility because they're in there and they were elected. So we have to defend ourselves on those lines. But a lot of people realize that, you know, now that they're in there, what are you going to do about it? So I say get them out.
Your message, if you had to give to young people today from the experience that you've had as a musician and as a social activist in terms of what the potential that they have to do something about where our country is headed?
Well, somebody one time said you can, one person can't change the world, but one person carrying a message can change the world. And that's what I think is going on now. I think a lot of young people are realizing that their voice is ready to be heard. They are really important, and they feel that importance, and they know that they have to do something. You know, when you see something wrong, you sit around and you can say, well, I'm either going to do something or I'm going to do nothing. You have to make a decision. And a lot of the kids out there are saying, wait a minute, we can do something.
Music